Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hudnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose. Thanks for downloading another episode of the ThunderCast. You can follow us on Twitter at ThunderCast_pod. The gang is back together this week. As luck would have it, hey, flipping the script, I'm sitting in for Jed this week. But it all worked out. I'm off. I'm able to do a show, and if I'm able, I am absolutely willing to do a show. So I get to get my palate wet again on some things. I get to go around the herd with you, and man, oh man, do we not have something great to talk about. And whenever it's the NFL draft weekend, at least for the last number of years, we've had a lot of cool things to talk about. And this time is no different. So I guess the only place to start is with a word from our sponsors at Leasure Oliver PLLC.
Yeah, as always, they've been here, like I say, since day zero. Let's get a quick word from them. If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com.
Gosh, you have to excuse me there. Something happened when I was talking, and one of my lights just went really, really warm. Like I'm trying to set the mood here. So I'm trying to figure out what the heck happened and, try to get things back to the way they're supposed to be. Boy, oh boy, you can tell I'm a little rusty at this all of a sudden. What the hell happened?
No big deal on my end, man. Warm lights don't matter.
Well, I don't know what happened. It just happened. But anyway, I know that there's a lot to talk about because we're doing some SBC championships right now, and there's just general news. We're starting to see more players come out of the transfer portal for herd football. I'm catching a little bit of a running theme, at least early on, with some of the guys that are coming out of the portal. I think it's one that fans for the herd are going to enjoy, and we'll see how, of course, it all plays out once we assemble a full roster. But hey, there's no place to start, but just hit me. Give me some things. I don't know how many things, but give me at least 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week.
Let's do it. And now, here are at least 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by ignite.link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. Well, we got a true 5 things, and a couple of those are condensed together, but let's rock and roll with it with the number one thing that I know that you want to talk about and everybody wants to talk about. Mike Green, drafted in the 2nd round by the Baltimore Ravens.
Obviously, I don't have what I consider true mixed feelings about this. We had heard so heavily moving in that Mike Green was a legitimate first-round pick. I still think he's a legitimate first-round pick that happened to slide into the 2nd round. And boy, oh boy, did Baltimore really get potentially one of the steals of the draft. I don't think any herd fan is going to argue that. I don't think any Ravens fan really is going to argue that after they see what Mike can really do. But yeah, another year with a herd player drafted, the only player from the Sun Belt drafted. And I'm going to put an asterisk beside that because I think this is a Bush League data point. And without going back and looking at every draft pick and seeing if they were a transfer to their new team that once played at the Sun Belt school the year before, you can't really say that. But I guess if the data we're going off of is the school you played at last, Mike Green's the only Sun Belt guy that got drafted, and I think that's a huge feather in the cap for the herd. I think that's a huge feather in the cap for Mike Green himself. And I'm going to be honest with you. You're probably not going to believe me when I say this because you know how much of a stat nerd that I am. And I knew heading into those 50s picks, and Mike hadn't been picked yet, I knew that Vinny Curry and Aaron Dobson were both picked 59th. I remember talking about that or tweeting that out when Dobson got drafted. And I was thinking, there is no way he's going to go 59th and make it 3 in a row. But I had this gut feeling. I was laying there in my hotel room in Nashville watching the draft. And as those picks whittled away, I thought, man, it's going to happen. I can't believe this. And sure as shit, number 59, given the herd 3 now draft picks and in the number 59 slot. And what is it? I put the tweet out. I don't remember. This is like our 6th or maybe 7th second round draft pick of all time. So very cool. What are your thoughts on Mike Green landing in Baltimore? Since I saw you say I don't have a team anymore. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts about him landing in Baltimore?
Well, I was a longtime Dolphins fan, and that was when Marino was there, and then it stuck around for a little while afterwards. But then I just started rooting for individual players. And as you know, my history of meeting my wife at a Super Bowl party, we celebrate the Super Bowl. So I don't really start watching until the playoffs are around. The NFL's just not really done it for me in a long time. I am now a huge Ravens fan, and it's because they have Rasheen Ali and they have Mike Green. I think both of those players absolutely love Marshall. I think the Ravens now, the fans know they got an absolute steal with Mike Green. So I am interested in seeing him go there. I think that that's a good team. You know, Lamar Jackson is one of the most exciting players, perennial MVP watch list every single year. I think that they have a chance to win. It's great to see Mike there, and I think those fans are really going to appreciate him.
I think what they're really going to find out is that it's something that we've talked about forever. And you even heard Coach Harbaugh talk about it. The dude is relentless, and I think that's one of the best words to use when you're talking about Mike Green. When the whistle or when the snap of the ball occurs, he is relentless. His motor redlines until, just like what Coach Harbaugh said, the last echo of the whistle. So you don't play to the whistle, you play through the whistle, which is something we talked about a lot when Owen Porter played for the Herd. He played through the whistle. That's just one of those innate qualities that you love to see in a defensive player. But I think they're going to find really, really quickly that there's just no quit in Mike Green. He has this unbelievable knack to get to the quarterback, and he's still what many are going to consider pretty raw because he hasn't been doing this that long. And to now go and to be able to have his game fine-tuned and crafted even more so, man, I think the Ravens just came out really, really, really ahead in this one. I mean, he was drafted 30-some slots behind where he was on the big board. A lot of places had him as a top 20 prospect. A top 20 prospect, top 25 at least. This could be the steal of the draft, you know, and I know that might sound like hyperbole. Some people feel like it could be other players, and they could be right. But, man, when you think about defense, one of the teams that comes to mind, at least for me as a general football fan, is Baltimore. They've always got a great defense. And, of course, there's Herd history there. You know, Albert McClellan, a Herd all-time great defensive end, was a long-time D end and player for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, even way back in the day, I remember they had Omar Brown on the team as a safety for a couple of years. So there's Herd history there. And, of course, Rasheen Ali just gives it some modern day flavor. You love to see it. I think if Herd fans are able to tune into a game, and let's face it, in the region we live in, you might be able to watch a lot of Ravens football because the Steelers are always on, the Browns are always on, you know, so that gives you a really good opportunity to catch more than a handful of Ravens games. How awesome is it going to be as a Herd fan to be able to tune into a game on a random Sunday and catch Rasheen Ali giving Derrick Henry some relief in the backfield, coming in for a play or two, and then when they're on defense, you're going to catch Mike Green on the defensive line. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. Sticking with this number one, we have two other players that went pro yesterday. J.J. Roberts to the Buccaneers and Jeremy Jones to the Giants. That one may have actually been today that news came through. Both signing as undrafted free agents.
Yeah, I got to think that J.J. Roberts was one of the first calls made by probably a lot of teams. We thought that he had a legitimate shot to be drafted really as high as maybe the 5th or 6th round. But to see him go undrafted, once you get into that 7th round and especially like the mid-late 7th round, you might be better off to just not get drafted so that
Yeah.
you can pick your suitor and find the best situation to where you might have an opportunity to stick on a roster. And man, I'll tell you, you could do a lot worse than Tampa Bay, man. I mean, that's a good place to go play some football. I'm thrilled for JJ. I'm thrilled. I would have loved for him to have had the moment of hearing his name called, just as I would have loved for Jeremy Jones to have the moment of hearing his name called. But at this point, it's about an opportunity. And these guys both have an opportunity. JJ, I think, has an unbelievably good chance to stick. Maybe not in Tampa, but somewhere. You know, I really thought that he would get that call, but even though he didn't, I know he was a priority free agent. He had to be. He was ranked so highly by a lot of people. And let's not forget the PFF's #1 rated safety in the country last year. It boggles my mind that somebody didn't take a shot on him, but that's fuel for the fire. Jeremy's another one. He was solid all year long, played great for the Herd in the offensive lineman at the offensive line. On the offensive line. Doesn't surprise me that he's getting the Giants rookie minicamp invite. But now you just got to make the best of it, right? So all in all, 3 this year, a little down from the year before, but hey, 3 into the league, at least at this point, we'll take it.
Number 2, lots of action on the men's basketball transfer portal. Unfortunately, we had already heard Dzane Mingo and Jalen Spear were coming back. Both of them then entered the transfer portal. The next day, maybe day and a half, Jalen Spear backs out, says he's staying at Marshall. Great news. And then we got 3 players coming in, Wilson Dubinsky, Caleb Hollenbeck, and Andrew Fouquet. So wherever you want to go with this, let's talk about it, and then we'll just bounce around and touch base on all of them.
Honestly, what can you talk about at this point? Right, because we don't really know how these guys are going to mesh. We know what Jalen Spear means to this team, and what Jalen Spear is going to mean next season for Corny Jackson's team. But for the guys coming in, we don't know how they're going to integrate. You know, a lot of guys are trying, at least online, they're trying to draw comparisons between one and the other, and whose role this guy might fill and whose role that guy might fill. But I think the cool. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. I mean, but I think it's pretty cool that you get a set of teammates, from Gillette College, junior college. That's pretty cool. So there's built-in chemistry, at least with those two. Dubinsky feels like a combo guard that is a guy that I guess you're looking to fill the shoes a little bit of Mingo. I don't know that any one player is going to be able to do that. I think he was probably the main piece that Marshall needed to have return to try to kind of build everything else around. But I don't know, man. We don't know what we have, and we don't know what the portal still holds yet. I think we're a long way from really feeling bad or feeling good about everything. Of course, it's great news to hear that, Spear went into the portal but decided to come out. Apparently the conversation that Corny Jackson had with him meant something, and he came away feeling a certain type of way and felt like this was where he needed to be. I don't know. I think what this tells me, the situation where you get the "I'm back, I'm coming back" announcements and then you don't leave, is that really rubs people the wrong way. Because
we saw how bad it rubbed people with what was posted on social media, not just on Twitter, but Facebook and message boards and things like that. It's a black eye on the sport, on college athletics and everything, that you have this sort of thing going on.
Yeah, I'm on record saying I don't fault any player for trying to go to a better situation, if that's if that's financially or whatever. Where my problem lies is when you've made your mind up and you say I'm staying, and then you say, well,
and the timing, because sure, we still got plenty of time to bring people in, but we could have missed out on some people.
Yeah, for sure.
Or we were going into, well, we know these two are coming back. They've given us their word, that they're coming back.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks about it. And I tell you, we stay positive here as much as we can and things like that. But I tell you, it's unfortunate that Jalen Spear has done that and he's coming back, because we're going to root for him and everything. But I'll go on record with saying I just did not like that at all.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
would tell him that, I got no problem with that. When I feel like when you say I'm coming back and you tell a coach and then you tell the fan base, you tell everyone, and then you're like, well, I'm going to bounce afterwards. I don't like that.
Yeah. I think that's probably the problem that most people have. It's like, dude, you made a commitment and you went. Now, this is tough to talk about because, there's a player that both of those players made those announcement tweets or videos or whatever, graphics. Both entered the portal. One left and one came back. So different outcomes, but the same scenario. And to me, it's like, all right, if you felt strongly enough about staying, you've made your mind up. That's it. At that point, why can't you go, no, coach, I've made my mind up. I'm here. That's tough. That's really tough to handle. And I don't like that. And that's what's causing a lot of fans to fall out of love with the sports.
Yeah.
We've lost, and it's not just Marshall fans, but we've lost a lot of good fans because of this type of behavior, to where they're like, okay, nothing is sacred anymore. Like literally nothing is sacred anymore. So what that tells me, Russ, is I think more sooner than later, and if you want to go down this rabbit hole, we can. I think sooner than later, we're going to start to see some binding contracts that come along with these NIL deals, because and I tweeted this, and this is what I mean. I tweeted that the way I tweeted it on purpose, because this is what I mean. I think both sides need certain protections in place, right? It's not meant to be a one-sided deal and the other side gets screwed, but both entities need certain protections. And I think we're not really leaning. I think we're sprinting towards seeing that. And especially since, what was it, Arkansas? I will butcher the name, but it's the Tennessee quarterback that went to UCLA. His brother hit the portal from Arkansas, and they want their money back. They want the money. And how can you fault them, right? You can't because
a lot of those NIL deals do have contractual things in there. They have to attend class full time. They have to do certain things, to get that money. So I 100% expect them to get a good portion of, or at least 100% of what they're owed, but a good portion of that NIL contract to get that reimbursed.
Yeah. And, Arkansas and Marshall are two different animals. Like, they can take a hit and weather the storm a little bit. It's a lot tougher for schools like us, and we as mid-majors, by and large, all need those type of protections, so that you're not committing to a player and they leave, and now you have nothing to recruit the next player or divvy out to the ones that are staying loyal to your program. That's the certain protections. It's not about screwing anybody over, right? But if you're the NIL collective and you're the donor, I'm a donor. I donate to the Thunder Trust. So I'm getting screwed over because I've given the money, and now the player is leaving, and now that money's leaving with him, and we don't have the money to divvy out to our current players or go after the next piece that we need. So I don't want to be screwed over either, and I don't want the player to be screwed over. I think that's why we're going to have to see some contracts that say, like, all right, if you go and you go to, to a better situation, you're going to have to reimburse us the difference, and it's only fair. I don't see how anybody could say that's unfair.
And I think that rabbit hole you're talking about would make a good standalone conversation with you and I, so we'd have the time and depth to go into it.
Yeah.
But what I want to say about these three that came in, love the field goal percentage, especially long range. Two of these are sitting around 44 to 45% from behind the arc. And man, I think that we really need that. Michael Dawson did a great job. We've got to replace that 3-point production, and if you think, a run there for the entirety of D'Antoni's tenure, we had someone for most of that time that was deadly from behind the arc. And when you get up around that 44, 45% range, I don't care where it's at. It's from the same distance. If you can shoot, you can shoot.
Yeah.
And it looks like we got a couple of shooters here, and I'm happy with that.
Well, yeah, it's not only the behind the arc range. A lot of those guys are hovering around or right above the 50% mark from the floor in general.
Yep.
It's just, you can't look at these stats, right? They don't blow you away. 10 points a game, 13 points a game, whatever. And you're like, okay, that's the JUCO level. Like, this is D1 ball, right? And if you're just that guy that says, well, this isn't going to translate, you might be right. But we don't know because it's a new system, and how are these players going to mesh with one another?
Right.
That's why I can't confidently say I know what we have, because I don't. And I still don't know what might be coming in, if anything, right?
All right, number 3, tennis, which we're going to talk a lot more about in Around the Herd. But for the 5 things, they have 3 athletes named first team all Sun Belt. Johanna Strom for singles, Sophia Hurion, and Aisling McGrain for doubles.
Yeah, how many years now have we been talking about those 3? I mean, in particular, they've been perennial first team all Sun Belt or all Conference USA, even maybe performers. And now here, I think if they're not all seniors, at least 2 of them have to be, because we've been saying their name for a lot of years. Not surprising in the least at all. And congratulations to them. This tennis program, and led by that recruiting class from 3 years ago, has just been amazing with what they've been able to accomplish individually. And I say individually as singles players, and individually as a doubles tandem. And then as a team, it's been pretty awesome to hitch the wagon to and go along for the ride with them. It's been pretty good, man. So congratulations to him, not surprising in the least.
Well, we do have 2 seniors, and Strom, believe it or not, who I feel like we've talked about just as much as anybody from there, is still a junior. So she's got another year coming back. And then who we didn't see on there, Emma Vanderhayden, we've talked about her quite a bit. She's also an outgoing senior. All right, number 4, baseball's Griffin Miller. This is a little bit of old news, but it came out right after we put out our last episode. Named to College Baseball Foundation 2025 Pitcher of the Year watch list. I think that is absolutely huge. I don't care what the title is. I've never heard of that particular thing, but to be on anyone's Pitcher of the Year watch list, I think is really, really good.
I think it is too, and there's been a lot, obviously, of press and talk about Bryce Blevins because he's earned it, and what Clint Moak did earlier this year garnered him a lot of attention. And these guys deserve that, right? They do. They've earned the airtime with what everybody's talking about with what they're doing. This is cool, man, because these are people, an organization undoubtedly that has its finger much firmer on the pulse of college baseball than we do, and we're talking about a nationwide kind of deal here. So you get a guy on a short list for a Pitcher of the Year award. I think that says with, like, I'm going to state the most obvious thing ever. You're doing something right, because you don't just land on those things by accident. I mean, you've got to be going out there and performing. And I think Griff is still underrated. He's doing really well this year. Still underrated, still flying under the radar. And if he's a guy like me, that's where I want to be. I want to be under the radar. I want to continually have people not paying attention to what I'm doing until they step into the box, and then it's like, damn it, I was not prepared for this guy, right?
Localish kid, Scott High School, Madison, West Virginia, Southern West Virginia representing. Here's what we got for him on the year: 2.56 ERA, 1.33 WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitched, 5-2 overall. He's started all 11 games that he's been in, 63.1 innings. And what I love about this, batting average against only 221. If he has any kind of a weakness, from what I've seen, and these stats here back it up, 31 walks, 15 hit by pitch, and 11 wild pitches. So it's a control issue. His stuff is electric when he's on. He's so hard to hit.
Mhm.
And the only way that they're kind of getting to him is when he's putting those runners on base and, the wild pitches and the his batsmen and the walks. If he can tone those down, man, we are looking at a special year. But it's special nonetheless, but I mean, even more special if he dials those in.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. It seems like those are a little bit of self-inflicted wounds, obviously, when you're putting yourself in a position to have runs scored on you via walk or hit by pitch or a combination thereof. But you're right. You tighten that up, you find your groove, and that comes with maturity, that comes with the evolution of your game, that comes with coaching and practice. You know that, man. I never was a pitcher. I understand that it's got to be the hardest craft in the sport of baseball to find consistency in. It's got to be, but we're seeing an of the year nomination in a season that's already riddled with these statistics.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you looking at if those walks get cut in half?
Yeah.
If those HBPs get cut in half, what are you looking at then? Because that's probably more strikes, obviously, that are being thrown. That's fewer opportunities that have base runners to get, runs against you and ultimately might flip the scoreboard in the favor of the opponent. I think it's just kind of a matter of time and finding your groove in the evolution of your game.
240 at bats against him, 1 home run, 13 extra base hits. So, this is a sophomore we're talking about, and a local kid, sophomore, and he's putting up these stats, and he's doing this and has that production with these hit by pitches, with these walks. Again, special year so far, could be a lot more special if he can just get that control in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our fifth and final thing is our usual, the football transfer portal update. We got a confirmation from Brock Montgomery. We didn't mention him before, even though we kind of knew he was in there. He hadn't announced specifically that he was in there. How we always like to do it, we like to have that confirmation. Most of the time, it's via the player themselves. Occasionally, it's from other means. But he not only entered, he is now listed where he is landing. He's going to Tennessee State. And we also saw enter linebacker Messiah Petty. And then coming in, we got former running back from WVU and West Virginia kid from high school level, Judah Price. 5'7", 180, 168 is what the view listed. He lists himself currently as 180 on his profile. Looks to be an amazing talent, just maybe not getting the right look. And what I like is we've got a couple of players with that same build or mold here that seem like they are a great fit for the offense that we have. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do.
So here's the deal. Here's what I'm seeing so far, and this is the theme that I was talking about at the lead-in. It's a very West Virginia player-heavy portal in the early going, and I think that's what a lot of Herd fans are going to want to see. That means top talent from this state is coming back to Huntington. And earlier today, I don't know if you saw it, but I saw it. Jaden Johnson returns to the Herd. He was on the 2021 roster as a freshman, transferred out, went to Lindenwood, and he has since committed back to the Herd as of today. I tweeted that out a little bit ago. Don't blame me if you didn't see it. Former Cabell Midland player, so yet another great West Virginia high school football player. This time, Jaden returning to the Herd. But back to Judah Price. This is a former West Virginia high school Gatorade Player of the Year, a Kennedy Award winner, right? I mean, hey, that's what you want if you're talking West Virginia high school sports. Like Coy Fagan, Kennedy Award winner, right, on the roster, right? You got now Judah Price. You're getting you got Za coming over. This is talent, and I'll tell you what, you can take this how you want. I mean, not you particularly, but those listening. Why these kids continually go to Morgantown to turn around and hit the portal to leave because it ain't working out. It does sometimes. Like, congratulations to Wyatt Milam, right? Drafted Spring Valley offensive lineman. Pumped for him. I'm happy for him, right? But we've got two great West Virginia players that went to Morgantown. It didn't work out, and now they're coming to Huntington, and I bet you they flourish on the field here. So the notion that you have to go to Morgantown, and I think it's getting a little tired, man, because we're putting these guys to work, right? We're developing this talent. They're shining here. I mean, look at Owen Porter, right? Look at Logan Osborne. Like, look at these guys. You come here and play. So, and I'll tell you what else that I'm not going to listen to the head coach up north anymore talking about. We want to recruit West Virginia. We want, like, you're sending them packing, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Don't believe the narrative. They say he says one thing and does something different. Don't believe the BS.
Just like when he was begging to come here and coach, and a week and a half later, he said, if you think that I've spent 30 seconds thinking about Marshall, you're wrong. Well, who was begging to be on our short list as a head coach candidate just before that? Talk out one side, get smacked out of the other. Who cares? Yeah, I did see what you said about Jaden Johnson. And I just did not put it here on the notes for that, but it is getting updated. All this stuff is up to date except for that particular one. I'm updating it tonight, which will be loaded, but I've put it out on the socials now. You can expect every weekend to have this updated, sometimes throughout the week, but ThunderCast.Online has your 24-25 football transfer portal tracker, the most comprehensive and accurate list on the internet. You'll have an index on there where you can click, and it will take you to those things that happened in the winter or those things that happened in the spring, so you don't have to just scroll to get to the section that you want. Trying to make it easy on you.
Yeah, which I know folks are going to appreciate. We love the feedback that people give us, but you guys got to understand it's not as easy as just in the way that we do things. It takes a little work to, you can't just magically rework it. So maybe, as we get this feedback and the next portal cycle tracker, we might be able to integrate some of that stuff. But for this tracker, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And it being having two separate portals, and some of those entered the portal, withdrew from the portal, went back in the portal in the spring. That is not yet over, even though the portal's closed. They could still technically withdraw and come back. A lot of moving parts. All I can tell you is it is a lot of work. But some of that feedback that we have made me put that index up there so you could click and go. And I'm also doing screenshots now because some people's browsers just could not handle that many embedded tweets, and players are going back and deleting tweets from 6 months ago.
Right.
So now everything is reworking, and we are evolving as this transfer portal evolves. And the only other thing that I'll tell you before we get done with these 5 things about that transfer portal tracker, every week the newest transactions will now be at the top. So everything that's on there now, that the next time that you click on it, if I update it a week from now, 5 days from now, 2 days from now, and I put out a link on social media, is like, here it's been updated, just know that the most recent will be at the top of their individual sections for the in and out for the spring.
Cool. One final housekeeping note. I'm sure you said this before. I'm going to say it again to help disparage any confusion about the portal. The portal cycle is closed. That does not mean that guys had to be committed by the closing of the cycle. It meant that they can't enter after the closing of the cycle unless you're a grad transfer. That really doesn't apply to you because you've already graduated.
Yeah.
So there was some confusion amongst some friends of ours, and I tried to set that straight, but I'm going to set it straight for all of you guys too. We will see, count on it, players coming out of the portal and committing to the herd for the next number of weeks or months, and maybe right up and until the beginning of the season. So don't think because the portal is closed, we have who we have and that's it. We're going to be recruiting and filling the roster out well into the late spring and early summer, I would assume.
Yeah.
So take a breath. It's still evolving. We are not done. We are only going to get better from here because we have a lot of room to fill and spots to bolster. So sit back and enjoy the ride. It's going to be a fun one.
KD, that does it for another 5 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by ignite.link.
Sweet. Felt good to do that again. I haven't been able to talk that kind of herd in a while. We got anything that we need to talk about before we go around the herd?
Nope, let's just take it around the herd.
Love it.
And now, Layer 1 Solutions, your experts in business connectivity infrastructure, takes you around the herd. We're going to start off with tennis, and heading into the last week, they lost 4-1 against Georgia State the previous Saturday, and they had been rolling before that. And that put them in as a 6th seed, and they had to face number 3 seeded Troy this weekend in the Sun Belt Conference Championships. They win against Troy, and it was Alina, I'm hoping I'm saying this last name right, Moskrinka, and she ended up getting down. It was like game, set, match. Her final stand there on a very close back and forth gives Marshall that win over the number 3 seed. Then the very next day, same thing. It's Moskrinka again, and she does the same thing. So the herd heads to the finals, which was earlier today, and they ran into Old Dominion, who had not given up a single point. I don't mean like, 40 love and then the next one gets them a point. I'm talking about when you're winning on your race to 4 to win the entire event. And they won 4-0, 4-0. Herd takes the doubles point right off the rip. That was ODU won 1, Marshall won 1, and the third one went 6-6. And then they had to go into the overtime, if you will, for Marshall to get that point. That was huge to put them up there. But then ODU, who has perennially been ranked in the top 25, and their singles, their doubles, and as a team, they just dominated from there on out. And they took home the championship 4-1 over Marshall. But coming in as the 6th seed, coming in and performing the way that they did, hell of a season, hell of a tournament run. You got to love those seniors that we talked about earlier. John Mercer's crew just killed it all year long. Seemed like that they could have done just a little bit more, but going up against the likes of ODU and things like that, it was like one of those, hey, we can play with these. We just ended up on the short side.
Yeah, but what a phenomenal season. SBC runners-up is something to be proud of, right? Because Marshall perennially, to me, has not been viewed as what I would think of as a tennis powerhouse up until a few years ago when this senior class came in. And remember, we talked about it. It was like the 6th-ranked recruiting class for mid-majors many years ago. And boy, this class just did not disappoint. I mean, year after year, they were in the top 2-3 teams in the conference, and it was always Old Dominion, James Madison, and Marshall. Old Dominion, James Madison, and Marshall. And now James Madison must have taken a little bit of a hit this year because it was Old Dominion, Marshall, and Troy, and Marshall enters in as a 6th seed, and still, that just shows you that they were better than a 6th seed. They let a match here and there slip away from them, and take one on the chin on a random weekend, and when it's all said and done, you end up as a 6th seed coming in, but you're better than that, right? And we knew they were better than that. They proved they were better than that. My hat's off to this tennis program. These outgoing seniors, my hat's off to them. It would not surprise me with a couple, a decade from now, you don't hear about some of these players that are going out starting to get that mention in like Herd Hall of Fame type stuff because they accomplished things that, that hadn't been done in a long time. And so few people pay attention to herd tennis that luckily we talk about it so more people can hear about it. But these names, Emma Vanderhayden and Aisling McGrain, Sophia Hurion, they hopefully became sort of household names when you think about herd athletics because of how much time we spent talking about them. And I was actually under the impression this is how still uninformed I am at times. I thought Johanna Strom was a senior. So to have her be able to come back next year, I think you're looking again at another SBC, a first team all SBC performer. obviously going to be the anchor of what this herd tennis program is able to do next year. Really excited that I got that bit of news from you just a little bit ago. I think this is going to be huge, but so much congratulations, so much pride for what they were able to accomplish this season. I'm really happy for them, man. I know they wanted the trophy. I know they wanted the championship. Who doesn't? But by golly, runner up ain't too damn shabby.
Yeah, and turn your way back hat on here a little bit. You and I talked about one of these around the herds and the coinciding 5 things. That entire episode, you could have said the theme was freshman phenoms.
Mm-hmm.
It was right around the swim and dive time when we were talking about that. But every single Olympic sport that we were talking about, and some that weren't Olympic sports, the more traditional sports that you see, we were talking about freshmen. And listen to this. Out of the freshmen that we have one here from South Point, Meredith Riley, and we haven't heard her name a whole lot here. But Nell Van Oot, Alina Mokrinskaya, who I just talked about here twice, and Noor El Owazani, all of those are freshmen. And you've got Strom coming back, and you've got another junior coming back, Katie Limonen, also a local kid from Hurricane. And then you've got this senior class that was leaving, including Kylie Fisher, a local kid. So you've got some local flavor, you got some international flavor, but what you got is a lot of promising freshmen that, as this year went on, they put in some great performances. You got Strom coming back, and the way that we've been recruiting and adding here, I think here in 3 years, we're going to be talking probably about these freshmen that we were just talking the same way we've been talking about Hurion, McGrain, that sort of thing. Vanderhayden.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really pumped. I don't get to watch a whole lot of tennis. It was fun this weekend to watch as much as I could on ESPN Plus, whether I had to watch from my phone or watch on TV. It was that rare glimpse that I got to watch a lot for the herd, and fun time.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we get more and more people that go here to the local matches and get to watch those and cheer them on, because they were killing it this entire tournament.
Yeah, it would really be super cool if we could get to the point, and I think maybe we talked about this. I don't know. If we had, it's been a while. But, being able to get that tennis matches like not in Barbersville would be cool. You know?
They do. They usually move them to the indoor facility at Barbersville when the weather requires. Yeah. Otherwise, it's on campus.
Right. But I mean, like, if the weather doesn't cooperate, if we were able to, shoot it somewhere on campus, that would take. That's a big facility. That's a big footprint. Yeah. I understand that, but it would be cool to, just be able to cut through as you're cutting through campus. Oh, and you can do this the tennis matches going on if they're playing outdoors, but the job that Coach Mercer has done, he's been here forever. It seems like, forever. And here recently, really within the last 5 years, it has been a noticeable uptick in talent and on-court performance. So it just goes to show you, man, there's you never know when that class is going to come in that's going to set the new ceiling or set the new floor. And I think we saw that 4 years ago when this senior class was a freshman class. They set the new floor for the modern day and especially Sunbelt era herd tennis.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to talk about tennis a lot, and that's why I led off with them, because they played for a championship today, conference championship. The rest of these are going to be more of your quick hitters as we go through here. Like, for instance, we're going to talk about volleyball now. They held their alumni game this Saturday, but it's kind of exhibition things. There's not articles out there. We don't know I'm sure they kept score, but not even anything about that for us to talk about. Just want to mention that we had a bunch of alumni come back and things like that, and it's always good to see, and we're always going to talk about every sport that we can.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, track and field. The Virginia Challenge was the previous weekend. Destiny Berryman set a 15-second personal best while there. And that's anytime you're shaving 15 seconds off of anything, it's pretty good. She was one of only 4 herd athletes that made the trip to that meet. And Kazuma Bowring for the men's 800 meter finished 5th place. So out of the 2 of the 4 that were there, we had some really good results from those. This weekend over in Louisville was the Clark Wood Invitational, and we had a couple of cool records here. Desiree Gee continued her strong second season with the herd, broke the women's outdoor 200-meter record with a time of 23.68 seconds. Her mark would be top 8 right now in the Sun Belt Conference. There were a lot of other scorers there on day 1. And over on day 2, this has been a cool little theme that we have talked about for the last several weeks, Jed and I. You've missed out on this, but the men's 4x100 team, they have broken the record, and then the next week they would break the record, and then one time 2 different teams broke the record, one finishing slightly ahead of the other. But they have all been different makeups of those 8 players on this. So they broke it again. The men's 4x100 team made completely of freshmen in this situation. There goes that theme again. Mm-hmm. Joey Blowbaum, Samari McCord, Jonathan Owusu, and Chris Swint set a school record time of 40.77 seconds. That was a 4th place finish at the event, but breaking the school record yet again. Also, Desiree Gee, who the day before had broken that record, second best in school history in the 100 meter with 11.63 seconds, and season best 4x100 team. She was included on that as well. So pretty good weekend for Gee, and the 4x100 teams just continue to kill it no matter what makeup they do in that lineup.
Man, I just got to go back and talk about what a great decision it was to change the way the track and field program was structured. Mm-hmm. Because we have seen nothing but record after record be broken and rebroken, mm-hmm. and young athletes shattering records, team records. Man, I don't know how you can't help but smile when you think about the progress. There might not be a overall program that's making more progress than the track and field program from a sense of record books being rewritten. And I know mm-hmm. it's easier to do that in track and field than, some other sports, but the accomplishments across the board that are happening in distance and sprints and field events and the way this program is now recruiting, I don't remember seeing this much action ever in herd track and field as long as I'd been associated with Marshall University. Now, granted, I will contend that I didn't pay nearly as close attention, but you don't even have to be paying attention. You don't even have to be looking for this stuff to see it happening now. And it is freaking everywhere. It's like every week that goes by, another record falls or there's another something that's a big deal. I think that it all goes back to restructuring the way that this entire program was made up. Mm-hmm. And man, are they on a recruiting roll? These young athletes mm-hmm. are just out of the gate performing top tier. I think now we're getting to the point to where we are able to go recruit areas that we've never been able to recruit before mm-hmm. and draw them to Huntington and compete for the herd in the Sun Belt Conference. All the congratulations in the world goes to these programs, men's and women's programs, but the track and field program as a whole. I think it's just freaking awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, Keith Roberts has done a great job. It seems like that men's program that was just restarted, hasn't had three recruiting cycles, maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
Maybe just 2 since Roberts has been in. This might be the 3rd one that he's in right now. But seemingly that they are coming from so far behind in the Sun Belt Conference, finishing last or whatever it was that first year or second year, maybe first 2 years, that they're building up this program through recruiting. and just getting better. The women were already there a little bit with some herd all timers, but
is that even the right term to say? Like
goats, yeah.
yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. Now the men's team is getting there and they're building up too. So everything you said, I have to echo that. It just seems like since they restructured how that was, and there's now like one overarching CEO, as it were, and then individual coaches for individual things. Let's talk about men's golf. Women's golf the week before had their Sunbelt Conference Championship, and now men's did that this weekend. They finished 11th of 14 in the Sunbelt Conference Championships. J.F. Aber led the herd at tied for 25th overall, and he was only one over par for the tournament. So right there in the thick of things, his first round, he was +2. He was 2 under there at the second round, and then 1 over par on the final round. Pretty consistent all around, but the leader that won this was 6 under, so not a hell of a lot of strokes behind the leader. It's not like, over par by 1 and the other guy won 15 strokes. Everyone was kind of bunched there in that top 15, so not too far out for Aber to lead the herd. That ends the season for them. It was one of those things Jed and I have talked about with the women, that they would have individual rounds that were just balling out, and then they just could not put the consistency together, either as a team or that one player having 3 consistent rounds to where they would finish. They would be tied for second going into the third round or whatever, and then they'd have a bad round and fall out of the top 10. Things like that. So the consistency is all they're lacking right now. They've got the talent, just be able to do it round in, round out.
Yeah, it sucks because there were, like you said, there were some efforts this year that were really, really impressive, and you thought there might have been some legitimate momentum just beginning to build, and then a round would happen and just completely take away all that momentum that was being built, and that sucks. And I can only imagine what that feels like as the competitor. You feel like you've got something going, you're in the groove, and then all of a sudden you slip on the banana peel and you don't have the groove anymore. And that's a bummer. But Jesus, man, golf. Props to people that can golf, because that ain't me. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know where to go with that, but I still think that consistency in that sport is probably one of the hardest in all sports, because of you're not competing, you're competing against yourself. And most athletes will tell you, well, I'm competing against myself anyway. I'm trying to be the better me. But I get that school of thought, but you're not always doing that. But in golf, you're competing against yourself. You're competing against the leaderboard. You're competing against geography. I mean, there's a lot you're competing against, but at the end of the day, you're really competing with your own brain to see that you can find the consistency that you need to find, and that's freaking hard. I can't even find consistency in my vocabulary, much less swinging a freaking golf club all the time.
We're going to finish with the diamond sports, but we're going to start with baseball first. They went down to Coastal Carolina, who at the time was ranked 21st overall, and that may be an under ranking because they're a really good program. And we just got slaughtered down there. Swept with a Friday score, or no, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Thursday score of 11-1, 10-0 on Friday, and then Saturday 13-5. But do you know what helps when you come off a season or a series like that? Come back to the Jack and have a game where you run rule 10-0, Morehead State. Then you go down to Morehead State for the second half of a home and home series. 32-15. Set a program record with 33 hits, only 1 home run and 32 runs. Crazy. Lots of doubles, lots of singles. That field, if you've never seen it, I think
it's wonky, man.
230 short porch and right, I think is what it is. I'm not saying I could still hit them out of there, but I could still hit them out of there. They then came back home to the Jack and had a weekend series against South Alabama. Friday's game got rained out, so they had a doubleheader on Saturday, swept both of those, and then got the third victory today. If I'm not mistaken, my wife said she heard this, and it shocked me because I thought we had done this already. But that was our first Sun Belt Conference sweep. As far as I know. Don't at me, at her, if I'm wrong on that. But she said that that's what they were saying, was if we won today's game, that would be our first Sun Belt Conference sweep. If so, pretty daggone cool. But we handled South Alabama this entire series. 5 games in a row. And just to give an extra cool shout out, Ethan Murdoch, who has led us in home runs this year, his family was down here and got to see 5 games. Last year they came down and nearly every game was rained out. Virginia Tech was rained out. I mean, just everything that they tried to see, nearly every game was rained out. They got to see 5 games this time, 5 victories, 5-0. Got to see Ethan hit a bomb in one of them. So really cool for them to come down here.
Well, how about you get to see the program record game, of all games you get to be a part of. You get to see a 32-run lambasting of Morehead State. 32 runs on 33 hits. And
giving up 15 runs, gave up 15 runs, and they won by 17. I mean, it's insane.
I was pulling back into the parking lot at work when I saw, I was able to see the final tally of that game, and I was like, God, imagine scoring 15 runs and losing by 17. That's what I was thinking. I was like, God.
Sadly, at that field, it happens to Morehead State quite a bit.
And that makes me think, like, you guys need to be out there just recruiting every single power hitter that you can find. And your whole philosophy ought to be, we need to put up 20 a game to have a legitimate chance to win, right? Because how do you even go into a pitcher's living room and go, listen, we got an opportunity for you here. How would you like to play on a little league outfield?
Yeah.
Against Division I hitters.
If I'm recruiting for there and I'm the pitching coach or the head coach trying to get a recruiter, I have one question. Son, are you a fly ball pitcher?
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see you. Well, thanks for having me.
I don't know how you even pitch that field to a recruit as a pitcher and say, you know what, this is home right here. This is it. But how do you not have every power hitter not beating down your door saying, hey, I get to play half my season or better at this field? Like, I could get 60 home runs in this thing.
And it's not just lefties. I mean, at 230, you can just lock off and, instead of opening up your stance, close it off and just say, man, I'm going for the line every time.
I think that's pretty cool, though. And then to sweep South Alabama, I don't know what their deal is. I'm not going to pretend to know, but I did see the tweet from Herd Baseball, like, no handshakes today. So what, they just got pissed off and left because they got beaten by the Herd at home and swept? So whatever, cry and leave. We don't care. Like, whatever.
All right, so to finish this off for Around the Herd, we're going to talk about softball here. They lost the series against Coastal 2-1. This was at home. It had a 2-0 loss on Thursday, 6-4 win on Friday, and then a 5-3 loss on Saturday. They get that doubleheader against Radford on Tuesday. They won 5-1 and 3-0. Then they traveled down to Georgia State for a weekend series and ended up lost 2-1, if I'm not mistaken. No, we won 2-1. I put 2-1 on here, but lost today was the only. We won the first 2 games and then lost today. It just was not our game. 6-0, I believe it was today. But first 2 games of the series, just everything was clicking for us today. It wasn't.
Yeah, that first game. But here's what we want to talk about: the post-game antics of this team. I'm surely to God you saw. the
I
post
saw.
game antics.
I watched it live.
Oh my God. How can you not just want to like wrap your arms around this program and be like, God, you guys are all that's good about martial athletics. They are so fun, man. And if you guys didn't see it, it was Bub Faringa on, was it Friday? Was it Friday, Saturday, Sunday series? Yeah. So it was Bub Faringa on Friday. 6 innings pitched in the circle,
2
and
hits, I think.
yeah, also had a pretty decent day at the plate. She went 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored on top of pitching 6 innings. Just an awesome day for Bub all the way around to lead the herd to victory in that one, 5-0. And then after the post game interview, of course, they're piling gloves on top of her head, and man, it was just so fun. And what a trooper. She didn't even break character. She just given the interview. They're piling gloves on top of her. It's awesome. And then the next day, not to be outdone, Tia from behind the plate, they're leaning bats all up against her and everything else like that. And man, you gotta love this team. There is no program. We've said this so much. There is no program in the under the umbrella of Herd Athletics that has more fun than Herd Softball, a program that takes themselves less seriously than Herd Softball while competing at a very high level. That's such a tightrope to walk, but it just works for this program. You know, they're just always so loose and so having so much fun that you just can't help but love them.
I liked how both players just kept stone faced. They no sold the chaos that's going on around them and kept on with the interview. You know, it's like Leslie Nielsen from The Naked Gun, the warehouse, the fireworks factory is exploding in the background. He's just like, nothing to see here. That's what it reminded me of, is they're just giving this, stone-faced interview while 8 gloves are being stacked on top of their head. And Tia had 9 bats around her and everything. When she moved, everything fell like Jenga.
Yeah.
But yeah, 5-0 victory on Friday, Saturday 6-2, and then just could not get it 6-0 today. They come back for the final series here at the Dot, and that's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We are still trying to line out the logistics, but the plan was for the Thundercast to do a tailgate on Saturday, May the 3rd. Well, that is senior day, and that's when all the parents will be walking with them, the outgoing seniors, and it's going to be tough to iron out. We hope to have something that we'll announce, but the plan as of right now is that we're still going to move forward with that. If the team kind of says, hey, let's not, there's too much going on and things like that, we won't, and we'll bow out. But a Thursday night and a Friday night is going to be tough for us to do that. So our only chance really is that Saturday.
And that's a noon first pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would be over there early with the cooking gear, free for all the fans to come by, be out in the grass and beyond the outfield fence is where we'd be set up. Look for that on social media. We'll tell you yay or nay. Right now, some of the player parents are kind of taking this by the horns and saying, should we not, that sort of thing. But if they give us the go ahead, I'm going to be over there Saturday morning.
Yeah, one note also about this last home series. If you'll look, I know you probably know this, but the Friday night game, 5 o'clock first pitch, that would be one that you'd want to try to go to if you can, because that's Emily Cooper Day at the Dot. And that probably pregame, they're going to be handing out the Emily Cooper, I believe it's the Warrior Award, isn't that what they call it?
Yep.
To most likely a Herd senior. And that's like the most prestigious award that you can get for Herd softball. And, that means a lot to that program. Emily Cooper still means a lot to Herd softball and probably will forever mean a lot to Herd softball. And that's one that if you can go to just to be there for the recipient of the Warrior Award and show them that you too care about the job that they have done on the field, off the field, as a player, as a person, as a member of Herd Athletics in the community, as a student, do that. because I think that would mean a little something extra to that particular player. We don't know who's going to win it, right? I mean, I probably have a short list of players that I believe it probably have a legitimate shot at that, but I'll keep that to myself. But a tailgate would be cool if you're able to pull that off.
Yeah. That's the hope and the plan. But again, we want to be there to add to the things, not to take away from the things.
Sure.
So if it were to be something that would get in the way, we're just not going to do it, and we'll do something else. But right now, the hope is that we do something over there on Saturday for the softball team.
Cool.
All right, that does it for Around the Herd. Katie, thank you so much for stepping in here on short notice. The alternative was everyone watching and listening to me by myself. Did not want to do that, and nobody wanted to watch or listen to that. So.
No, those are really fun and not awkward at all to do.
Oh, good Lord, man. It's just so brutal. But anyway, that does it for another episode of the ThunderCast. I have nothing else. You want me to take us out of here?
One thing, we've got late breaking news that came across the airwaves as we were recording. Add another one to the Herd Football NFL Rookie Camp invites. Offensive lineman Elijah Ellis has received an invite to go to the Minnesota Vikings. So good luck for Elijah, another guy that played really, really well for the Herd across that line. Not surprising in the least that he got the nod as well. That just tells you it didn't all have to happen yesterday or today. These things can be coming for the next couple of days, all the way up until these rookie camps kind of happen. So that makes four now for the Herd.
Yep.
Numbers couldn't be or might not be done yet, but that's all I got. Take us out of here.
Yeah, whether you see us at the Dot, whether you see us at the Jack, or whether you see us cheering on our brand new favorite team, the Baltimore Ravens, with Mike Green and Rasheen Ali, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go Herd.
Go Herd. It's the ThunderCast. You know what? I want to say something. We're getting really close to the time of the year where we're going to start getting into position group breakdowns in the near future. So I know you guys are going to get gearing up for that. Just wanted to let everybody know there's not going to be a change with that this year. I'm going to make myself available for that series because I know so many of our listeners wait all year long for that series. We have not forgotten about that, and it will be coming in the near future. We will start that. We just have to do the backwards math and figure out when it needs to kick off. So just wanted to let you guys know that. But until next week, we'll see you later.